Hello everyone. This video should be something like a guide or tutorial for account.username's GUI API. So we are creating a little program which uses all functions included in the API. We'll start with a screen that displays two buttons. If you click the first button, the program will show a progress bar filling up, and when it's full, it will show a dialog box saying finished. The second button will show a text box. After you typed something in the box, a dialog box will appear, displaying the string you typed in. So let's start. When you use an API, the first step you always want to do is to first unload the API and then load it, so you make sure it's loaded properly. For that, we call the two functions os.unloadAPI, open bracket, double quote marks, GUI, double quote marks, close bracket, and os.loadAPI with the same in the brackets. Now we can start with the GUI. First of all, we will create the main screen containing the two buttons. Therefore, we first initialize two variables, one for the first, the other for the second button. For the initialization of the variables, we use the function createButton. The first parameter of the function is the text displayed on the button. The second parameter is a function which will be called when the button gets triggered. I will tell you more about that soon. So in our case, we do local first button, which is the variable we use to call the button's methods since the API is object-oriented, equals GUI.createButton, open bracket, double quote marks first, then a space, which is really important, and again double quote marks, comma, first function, and close brackets. Then the second is local second button equals GUI.createButton, and in the brackets we do again quote marks second and second function. You may ask why I put a space after the text of the first button, but that's quite easy to explain. The length of the button is determined by the length of its name string. Since I want the two buttons having the same length, I add a space at the string of the first button, so both names are 6 characters long. If we would run the program now, nothing would happen. This is because we have to call the button:draw method first. The first two parameters of this method specify the coordinates of the upper left corner of the button. The third one specifies the height, not the width like written in the documentation. The fourth one is the background color of the button, and the fifth one the foreground color. I decided to color my first button in a sweet red and the second one in a nice and bright green, both with white text, but you can of course choose any colors you want. So we call first button:draw, open brackets 20,3,3, that are again the coordinates and the height, colors.red, that's a constant of the colors API, and colors.white and close brackets. And this for the second button we do second button:draw, open brackets 29,3, colors.green, colors.white. I won't explain the button:toggle method in this tutorial because I think it's quite self-explaining and not that useful in this program. So now we can wait for the user to click one of the buttons. For that, we use a little code snippet I prepared. You can find it in the description of this video as well. This function is called function waitMouse. And basically, this function waits until the user clicks. When the user clicks, it checks if the user clicked with the left button and if he clicked on a button. And if both things are true, it returns the name of the button the user clicked on. And if the user didn't click with the left button, or if the user didn't click on a button, it just waits for another click and then checks again. So some of you may ask now, why don't I use the trigger function provided with this API? The GUI API can run a function specified as the second parameter of the GUI.createButton function. But the problem with that is that you may run into problems if the function does something more than just printing out something. In our example, we need to remove the buttons after they have been clicked on, because else the buttons would still be clickable even though they aren't visible anymore. But if you remove the button, the entry in the table gets deleted, so if the function is complete, the program will crash. Therefore, I am using a kind of workaround. Instead of using the trigger, I just make use of the return value of the detect function, since the detect function will return the name, respectively the title of the button. The same does my waitMouse function. So you can paste the waitMouse function into the beginning of your program best after the load API function. Now that you have done that, we can create two functions directly after the wait mouse function. The first function is called first function. Very creative, I know. And the second one, as you can guess, second function. Right now, we will just print out something for testing purposes, but later on this function will actually do something. So just add those lines now. Function first function, print, open bracket, double quotes, first button clicked, and close quote and bracket again, and then we add a command sleep2 that just sleeps for 2 seconds, and that's because else our screen would be resetted directly, and yeah, then we couldn't read what gets printed out. And for the second function we do almost the same, just add it first to second. To finish up our program, we create an endless loop, which lets us always return to the main menu after executing the functions without needing to restart the program manually all the time. Also, we will add some lines that clear the screen and reset the terminal color, so let's start. First of all, we create a function called main. In this main function, add those lines. term.setBackgroundColor with colors.black, term.setTextColor, colors.white, term clear, and term setCursor+1, that just resets the screen like when you start up the computer and sets the cursor position at the upper left corner. So when you print out something, it would be at the upper left corner like normally. After that comes the code we created before. Then we create a new local variable called clicked and equal it to the return value of our wait mouse function. When the user clicked on a button, we can remove them, so add those lines to your program. First button, colon remove, and second button, colon remove. Then create a if statement which checks which button got clicked. If clicked, double equal first, and remember the space here, first function, else if clicked second, then second function. It's quite easy, so we just check which button got clicked. Now close the function and create an endless loop. We do that like with a while loop, so while true, do main, and it's just always when the main function is completed, it just starts the main function again, and that's basically it. Now our program is ready to test. As you see, we can click on one of the buttons and it will show either first button clicked or second button clicked, so that works great. Now we continue to fill up our function with some more GUI. As I explained at the beginning of the video, when clicking the first button, we want a progress bar to appear that fills up. Therefore, we first need to clear the screen again. So instead of the print statement, we write term.setBackgroundColor, colors.black, and term.clear. After that, we can set up the progress bar. Add the local variable procbar and initialize it with the GUI.createBar function. Local procbar equals GUI.createBar. And then in the brackets you can just write anything because it's just not needed again. Now we want our bar to be drawn, therefore we use the draw method. That's somehow obvious. This method actually has like a million parameters, and I will explain every single one, so if you are tired then you can get yourself some coffee meanwhile. The first two parameters specify the coordinates of the upper left corner of the bar. The third parameter specifies the length of the bar. The fourth parameter specifies the background color of the bar, basically the part of the bar which is not filled with progress. The fifth parameter specifies the color of the filled part of the bar. And the sixth parameter is a boolean that means true or false, and specifies the current percentage that if the current percentage should be displayed above the bar. Normally in Windows the percentage gets displayed in the bar, but in this API it gets displayed above the bar. And the last two parameters will specify the foreign background color of the percentage text. So now that your coffee is cold, we can finally use the method. Procbar colon draw 15, 8, 20, colors.white, colors.blue, true, colors.black, colors.white. I know it's quite a long comment, but it's basically a really powerful comment. When the bar is drawn, we want it to fill. Therefore we use a for loop. For I equals 1, 100, do procbar colon update I sleep 0.05 and end. that basically just runs it from 1% to 100% in I think 5 seconds. No, 10 seconds. No. Anyways, now to the dialog box with the title finished. Again, we create a local variable called dbox and initialize it with GUI.createDialogBox. The first parameter of this function specifies the title of the box, the second one the text. If you want multiple lines to be displayed as the body text, you just create a table and use one entry for each line. We will do that later on. The third parameter specifies the type of the dialog box, and there are currently two types, yes and no box and OK box. It's just which buttons get displayed at the bottom of the box, so either yes, no or OK. For this function we will use an OK box. For the other function, respectively button, we will use a yes or no box. Let's do that. Local dbox equals GUI.createDialogBox with finished as the first string, comma, the progress bar is full with the second string, and the third string is just OK to specify the type of the box. And now we can use the draw method again. The first parameter, like always, specifies the coordinate of the upper left corner of the box. The third parameter specifies the height of the box, not the width like written in the documentation. The fourth parameter specifies the background color of the body of the box, and the fifth the background color of the title of the box. And finally, the fifth parameter, no, it's actually the sixth parameter, specifies the text color of both the title and the body. And I generally use light gray for the body background and gray for the title background, and white for the text. That just seems like the normal dialog box then. And for the height of the box, there's a simple formula. Just add 4 to the amount of lines you have. In our case, we have 1 line, so we have a height of 5. Simple, isn't it? Now we add the method to the program. Dbox colon draw 12,6,5, colors.lightgray, colors.gray, and colors.white. And if you did that and your program works, then well done. If not, you may just download the final program from Pastebin, the link is in the description, and compare it to your program to find the mistake you maybe did. Now it's time to create our second function. In this function we will use a text box, but I have to say something about text boxes before you use them. In the original version of the API there's a bug with typing in numbers. And also you cannot write uppercase letters, and this is fixed in my version of the API, which you can also download from Pastebin. Link again is in the description. Like in the first function, we start off with setting the background color to black and clearing the terminal. Text boxes are one of the easiest things in this API. Let's start. As always, we create a new local variable, but this time call it user input and initialize it with GUI.newTextBox. Again, the first two parameters specify the coordinates of the upper left corner of the text box. The third parameter specifies the length of the text box and also how many characters can be typed in. So that's the length of that gets displayed and the length of the maximum amount of characters you can type in is the same basically. And the fourth parameter specifies the background color of the box, and the fifth one the text color. When you call this function, it will display the text box and let the user type in all the stuff. When the user is finished, he presses enter and the function will return what the user typed in. So there's just this one line of code and you need for a complete text box. Isn't it great? Now let's add that to our code. Local user input equals GUI.newTextBox 20,10,20, colors.white, colors.black. And if you wonder how to type in uppercase letters, then let me give you a little hint. The shift key doesn't work like a normal shift key. It will work like a toggle, so you can press to type in uppercase letters and then press it again to type in lowercase letters. And as again, you cannot write uppercase letters in the original API. When the user has finished typing his stuff into the text box, we want to ask him if he really typed that in. Therefore, we create a dialog box again, and this time it's a yes-no dialog box. The comments are pretty much the same. local dbox equals GUI.createDialogBox with the first string really, and then we use a I don't really know what it's called. Wait, let me see. An opening brace. So that's those weird brackets. That's for a table. So basically what we are doing here, we are doing a multi-line text box, and this we do this with a table. Did you for the first string we do did you really write this, then close the string, comma, and then the next is kind of complicated to understand maybe, because I use a function which Lua provides. It's the string.char function, and in this function you can give an ASCII code, a CII code, as parameter, and it will display the corresponding char on the screen, because I want to display the double quotes, and if I would type in the double quotes it would not work, because in Lua this is for opening or closing a string. Then we do a double dot for appending all the other stuff, all the other strings to that double quote. Then we type in user input, that is our variable. Again double dot, and then close the opening, close the double brackets with again string.char 34, and again double dot, and we add a quotation mark after that. Now you can close your brace and comma and yes, no as box type. And then again we do a new local variable result and equal it to dbox colon draw 1266 colors light gray, colors white. And the result will hold either true or false depending on what the user clicked on. And we will just print out some pointer sentences to check if our program works properly, but of course you can continue programming more useful stuff after that. If result double equals true, then print great awesome, and if not, then not cool, really not cool. It's just, as I said, some useless sentences. And since we want to have some time to read this before it gets cleared, we just add a sleep command, sleep 3 seconds. And we are finished. Again, the complete program can be downloaded from Pastebin, the link is in the description. I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I really would be happy about a like. And if you still have questions, you're welcome to ask them in the comments.